Hello friends, welcome back to another video. If you're new and not subscribed, I'm Kayla Bame, and you should really think about subscribing to my channel because the greatest, most bestest things in the world happen when you do that. So, subscribe. For today's video, I'm going to be continuing on something that I didn't think was going to be a series, but I'm definitely probably going to make it a series now. It's going to be the little Disney character Winnie the Pooh playing card set. I had originally done Tigger as the first playing card, and a lot of people said that I should do the whole set, so here's another one. For this playing card, I'm going to be doing Winnie the Pooh, and we'll make this the second card to my Winnie the Pooh deck of cards collection. Alright party people, for these playing cards I am using the small canvases. They are 4 by 6 inches that I found at Dollar Tree in the Crafters Square area. And because a playing card, the edges of the playing card or the border around the playing card are usually left white, I'm not going to be coloring them in, so I'm putting painter's tape around the border of my canvas. And I did this a half an inch away from the edge. So the border is a half of an inch. And this is just painter's tape. I didn't have great luck with the painter's tape last time, so let's see how well I did this time with it. And this was some advice that you guys gave me the last time I tried using painter's tape. You told me to take a credit card or some type of card. This is a hotel room key. And just kind of scrape down the painter's tape to flatten it out. And you guys said that this would help from any leaking from going on, so the paint won't leak underneath it. So let's see if it works. So for the background color, I am using Lavender by Deco Art, and I remember in the last video I used a darker purple, and that was because artist Kayla here, I looked at a color wheel, and purple is usually the opposite of orange, and since Winnie the Pooh is yellow, a lighter purple is kind of on the opposite end, so that's why I chose lavender. And since I put the painter's tape, in theory, I should be allowed to just go crazy with the paint and not have to worry about keeping the lines, you know, staying in the lines, because when you take the painter's tape off, it's supposed to keep whatever's underneath it white. So I hope the painter tape works. And since I chose cheaper paint to do this little project, you kind of need multiple coats. And when I say multiple coats, I mean like maybe 10 coats of each color, if not more than that. So I used my mom's little ray gun heat gun thing to dry each layer so I could do this project quicker. And 10 coats later, for the moment of truth, removing the painter's tape. Let's see how well this worked out, scraping the tape down with a card. I have no idea why this happens, but whenever I use painter's tape, it never really works the way I want it to. And maybe it's just because of the kind of paint I'm using. I have no idea, but it stuck to the painter's tape and it completely messed up the border of my playing card, so I had to go back and fix it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, I just don't know how to use painter's tape, I guess. Here's a closer look of how messed up the edges are. Again, don't know why this happened, but whatever, I could fix it. I just took a flat brush and went over the edges with more lavender to fix the border. And I wanted to avoid doing this because sometimes my hand isn't the most steady hand in the world, so straight lines are kind of hard. But today, I don't think my hand was giving me too much trouble, so I don't think I did too bad with the border, which kind of doesn't need to be perfect because I'm going to go back over it with a black outline, so that'll hide any rough, unstraight edges. I'm just gonna hide it with black, okay? Now it was time to sketch Pooh Bear out, and I usually sketch it out. I don't use a pencil because sometimes the paint has a hard time covering the pencil, or because it's graphite, you can kind of see the shiny pencil lines underneath the paint. So I am sketching out Pooh Bear with a paintbrush, just using white paint. And I am doing this freehand. I did this with my window painting as well. I sketched it out with white paint before I went in with all the colors, just to make sure I had the shape and the portions correct before I went in with anything that's harder to cover up, because white paint is probably the easiest color to cover up because it's white paint. So I use a thin layer of white paint to just do a basic sketch of what I'm going to be coloring later, and then I color it later when I'm happy with the sketch. For Pooh Bear's main color, I am using Sunny Day by Apple Barrel, and Pooh Bear is actually kind of an easier character to color because he basically is only two colors. It's the Pooh Bear yellow and then his red shirt. So that made this playing card kind of easier, even though Tigger is he was also two colors, but I had to go back and do the little stripes on Tigger. So this is Sunny Day by Apple Barrel, and because it is a yellow, that just means more coats, especially it being an Apple Barrel yellow. Apple Barrel is probably the cheapest brand you can get. I think it's only 50 cents a bottle. Per bottle, which is the cheapest paint that you're gonna get. However, with a 50-cent thing of paint, that means it's not going to have as much coverage as a paint that you pay $2 for. But that's okay. I don't mind doing multiple coats. Apple Barrel gets the job done. So just use Apple Barrel paint and go over it like 20 times, because I'm sure I had to do it like 20 times. But it was fine. It was worth it because I only paid 50 cents for the bottle, so it works, okay? I have nothing against Apple Barrel. I love Apple Barrel. It works. It just needs multiple coats, but it gets the job done. Then for Pooh Bear's shirt, I'm just using Bright Red by Craft Smart. Craft Smart is a brand that you can get from Michaels, and this is kind of, I guess, like the Apple Barrel of Michaels. It's the cheaper paint brand. Craft Smart paint is like 79 cents, so a little bit more expensive than Apple Barrel, but it's still on the cheaper side and one of the cheaper brands that you can get. And basically it's the same thing, just because it's a little cheaper, it needs more coats, but still gets the job done, so I don't care. And after all my coats, I am using a Craft Smart oil-based paint pen to do the outlining of Pooh Bear, just because I feel like I have more control over a paint pen than I do with a paintbrush. But looking back, I definitely think I should have used the paintbrush, because this pen was giving me so many problems this day, and I actually ended up breaking it. I think maybe the issue I had was this pen was running out of ink, but then again, I'm not so sure, because if you've never used pens like these before, the way that you get the ink out is you push it down on a napkin, and it sends ink to the tip of the pen. But for whatever reason, this pen wasn't holding ink for very long, so I had to keep dabbing it on a napkin. And every single time I dabbed it on the napkin, a whole ink blot would come out, which isn't normal for these pens, but this was the last pen that I had, so I just had to work with it. But it was giving me so much trouble when outlining it, and at the end, I think it's what kind of ruined it, but that's okay. I don't think it came out that bad, given that my pen was like half operational while doing this playing card. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we got And then to outline my playing card, this is also a Craft Smart paint pen. The tip is just a little bit thicker. This is a fine tip pen where the other one was an ultra fine tip pen. And unfortunately for me, this one was also dying out on me. I don't know why I had such an unlucky day when it came to the paint pens, but they just were not working with me today. I don't know why. I still managed to get it done, but these pens were giving me so much trouble today. And when it came to labeling the card, this pen had completely gave up on me. The tip of the pen actually came completely out of the pen, and at that point there wasn't really much I could do. The pen just didn't want to work, so my little ace of spades looks extremely ugly. Okay, I know my spade doesn't look very good, but this pen was giving me such a hard time. So instead of trying to do the other spade, I just left it. Since the A at the top didn't look too bad, I just left it as maybe half an ace of spades. But oh man, this pen was completely broken by the end of this playing card. And this is the final product. Not bad. Hate the spade in the corner though. Compared to the Tigger, I think the Tigger came out a little bit nicer, but the Tigger also had working pens. So, alright. That is it for today's video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave in the comments down below what you thought of my Winnie the Pooh playing card. I liked how it turned out with the exception of the little spade that I made. I kind of messed that up, which was not entirely my fault, but my pen broke and I only had one more left. So he's kind of incomplete too. I didn't want to try and do it with paint because it would have looked different, but I think the card did come out good. If I could fix that spade once I get another pen, I think it'll look great. But I'll see you guys back here next time.